is a prepaid call from
I'm tired of all of the fighting for things that really don't have purpose. Our children are losing their mothers and fathers. Why do we hurt them when they really need us?
Yeah, the penitentiary.
That boy cold there.
Motive is a nonprofit organization and it's an acronym that stands for Music Opportunities to Incarcerated Voices Everywhere.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
Yeah, I appreciate it too, man. This song right here, the Moms, though, I ain't gonna lie, this one, I love this boy. I let like 3 guys listen to it yesterday. The guy came out the room yesterday. He like, man, I wrote a verse to that. I'm like, how you write a verse to that? You ain't even have to beat. Like, he's kind of like, I wrote a verse to that. He like, I'm telling you, man. It was just so funny though. That's that flow of the music, you know. I didn't even know he'd be rapping or nothing. He just come on, yeah, I wrote a verse to that. Like, I ain't said you was featured on this. Like, what's up? Every time I see you, I die all over again. Every time I see you, I die all over again. All over again. Try to give me the rules, try to give me the game, try to give me what I needed to keep me out those chains. But when the boy thinks he's a man without proper instruction, all he hearing is mine, she can't tell me nothing.
Every time I see you, I die.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
Every time I see you, I die.
Yeah, I love you, mama.
Again.
You my everything.
Every time I see you, I
They killed me getting away from me for real. But I'll be there in a minute.
I love you, mommy.
Try to give me the rules, try to give me the game, try to give me what I needed to keep me out these chains. But when the boy thinks he's a man without proper instruction, all he hearing is mine, she can't tell me nothing.
The goal of Motive is to allow music to be used for therapy and to heal present as well as past traumas. So I start off with those who are incarcerated.
Hello, this is a free call from
Low. Look, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Every song I do, I'm trying to touch somebody's soul.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the goal.
Yeah, I'm trying to touch. Like I want, you know how everybody got their niche, right? Like you got Drake, he the pop star singing rapper. You got Future, he the melodic hook dude and all that. So like you got all these people. You got, bro. I'm trying to like really carve my footprint in this pain music. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to let people hear this real raw pain like that come with this shit.
Hey, when a guy tap into that, when a guy can tap into that type of energy, you know that's when you gonna the people is the greatest resource. When they feel you like that, they definitely gonna support you.
Yeah, bro, that's what I'm trying to do.
Hope in heaven better the life I'm living is hell. Came up a little different, I was trapped in a cell. Never supposed to make it, but I'm still chasing my wealth. Forced through the fire and I still stay myself. The system never broke me, it only set me back. Got hella shit I wanna see, I know I ain't seen my best. I know these verses hard as fuck, they'll probably try to kill me. The greatest seem to die, so I'm probably short on time, really.
Hello, this is a free call from
Low. Hope in heaven better the life I'm living is hell. Came up a little different, I was trapped in a cell. Never supposed to make it, but I'm still chasing my wealth. Forced through the fire and I still stay myself. The system never broke me, it only set me back. Got hella shit I wanna see, I know I ain't seen my best. I know these verses hard as fuck, they'll probably try to kill me. The greatest seem to die, so I'm probably short on time, really.
My vision, how I see it, is going to give those who are incarcerated a chance to use music to talk about their past traumas. And then their family members can also use the same form of therapy to talk about their traumas that they're going through by having someone who's incarcerated. And then those who have been victimized, they also have their side of the story. So they also can use the music as a form of therapy to talk about how they're feeling. So my end vision is allowing the music to be used as a bridge to heal all of those who have been traumatized by conditions. So you can have those who are incarcerated tell their story of what they went through when they was younger and how it maybe their parents may have made them feel or something that made them go off into the streets or whatever they went off into. And then it'll give the parents a chance to hear the song and listen to it without actually them being around and say that, oh, I didn't know that they really felt this way. And then it also will give a chance for the parents to be able to go in and do a song, and it don't have to be a rap, it can be a singer song, it can be poetry, or they can even just talk over the music. And then this would allow those who are incarcerated to hear the song with their family members or their parents or whoever, son, brother, sister. They can get their voice heard, and then it allow those who are incarcerated to hear it and say, wow, I didn't know that they really felt that way. And then also for the victims, they'll be able to get the chance to be able to do a song and allow the family members as well as those who are incarcerated to hear the song, and then for everyone to start seeing their side of the story and how everyone is feeling, and this is going to be a relationship builder. So that's my vision, how I see Motive operating and healing people. And then it's bigger than just the music itself. You know, it's going to be just an avenue of therapy, you know, to heal people. Because what I recognize is that when people go in front of a therapist, it's hard for them to try to express themselves because they feel judged or judged from maybe the past, what they did, or maybe they can't really articulate themselves to be able to express their feelings. So it's hard for them to kind of open up. But what I have seen is people will tell their whole life story to music. I mean, they'll go out and do a crime, and they'll go in and tell the crime through music. So it's like they have no filters. So giving them an opportunity to use music as a form of therapy is powerful. And then I'm not just looking for any type of music. You know, you got to have some type of substance for Motive. You have to tell your story and don't glorify any of the nonsense. So that's the whole goal of Motive is healing people. And then it's going to branch off into something bigger than just those who are incarcerated physically, because we also are incarcerated mentally. So it's bigger than just incarcerated physically. But that's who I'm targeting right now, to give them a chance to have their voices to be heard, because right now it's been muffled, and for them to heal. And currently I work with guys that's incarcerated, and it's been a life-changing experience for those who have been able to pretty much put their voice to music and to be able to express themselves. I mean, we be having phone sessions, so I record them over the phone and give them an opportunity to express their feelings and to use the music as a form of therapy, and it creates a bond between us also. So that's the goal of Motive. And right now I'm the one who's recording guys, so I'm looking for engineers, I'm looking for producers, I'm looking for those who have a vision to understand where I'm going. So it's motive, music opportunities to incarcerated voices everywhere. Yeah, I'm on a mission, and this is going to heal lives, and that's the goal.
As soon as the guy comes and goes like, gentlemen, are you guys ready to order? And that level of like, there should be that beginning of like, like the beginning part of like a game. I could see Sean ramping up. I can see him going like, these are dead tonight. You know what I mean? Like this place is in trouble tonight because Sean is getting ramped up. The food comes, and this is when I knew, he's all right. I don't have to worry about him anymore. And he just starts making porno noises.
I managed to frame one of those moments in Parma when he was trying the Anolini.
Yeah,
it wasn't his best, like,
you should.
But it tells you about the attitude that he goes into food with.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This is the Ink Pulp Podcast. Welcome to the Ink Pulp Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Just before I hit the go button, I said to both of you that I felt like I just seen you a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
which is true.
Did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's mildly annoying. I feel like we talk more during the podcast than we ever do at these shows. I feel like going to a show is almost counterintuitive, you know?
Well, yeah, because in the podcast, we only have 1 hour and we haven't seen each other for a whole week. So,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, but also
you can't wait to talk to us.
I don't know about that.
That's exactly.
Let's put a pin in that and discuss whether or not that's true later. I'll say that's not true, and then we'll come back to it.
I think it's another one of those like Mr. Freeze situation in which you say you
Where it's
hate
eventually
it when you
going to be
actually
true?
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, to be fair, I wasn't on my most social game this past weekend.
What do you mean, Sean? Okay, wait, to give people context where we were and why we were in close contact with each other. We went to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and by proxy, Mateo's nation's capital. Yeah. And we were there for a show called Awesome Con. By the way, shout out to the people who put on the show. They took really, really great care of us. We were in the in the section of town that was really nice. We had access to a ton of different things, not the least of which food. Our accommodations were great. Mateo's, was staying in a palace. I felt like he was staying in a
it was my palace.
Enterprise.
They built it on purpose just for me.
We refer to it as the Mateo Hotel. That will eventually graduate to the Mateo Hotel if we're popular enough, which is
we're not that
great show.
Level.
Thank you so much for everybody. Put us in a really,
they'll
really
start
good
making
spot.
Mateo cons in the States.
Wait, what? Say again? You were blinking out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, soon they'll start to make Mateo cons in the States.
That's just what we needed.
I want to help highlight the fact that even the computer knew you were bullshit and started blinking you out on purpose. All right, so great show all around. Our meals were phenomenal. Company was even better. We had the opportunity to hang out with Raphael Albuquerque.
Albuquerque. Yeah.
So weird to say that out loud. It's because I always associate that with a city in the United States. And oh gosh, what is Raphael's friend's name? Was
Eduardo Medeiros.
Last name. Yeah, brilliant. Both of them brilliant illustrators. Even better company. So thank you so much for tolerating us. So again, overall, the experience going to the show was great. And we found our morning coffee shop was this place called Sean Compass
Coffee.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for fueling us and giving us the caffeine that we need morning after morning. Except we went there this one morning
Oh boy.
And Sean went and got himself a breakfast sandwich.
It sounded so delicious.
It was delicious. I had one the next day.
Yeah, it was hot honey on sausage with egg and cheese.
Yeah.
On English muffin.
Yeah. Those are also the nicknames for all of Sean's whores. Hot honey.
Hot honey.
Anyway, so Sean gets this sandwich, and typical, he looks like a Jewish Pac-Man, just like like he orders something,
but with the curly things
for breakfast. On the side. Yeah.
And a yarmulke, a Pac-Man yarmulke.
And, he treats us out to breakfast. I think that was you, Sean, or no? Was that Maddie that treated us to breakfast?
First day was me. Me.
So Sean gets breakfast for everybody. Very generous of him, and he gets what I feel like is a small breakfast feast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was small. Yeah,
but it was a feast nonetheless. It was like proportionally, it was appropriate to what you get for breakfast. You really get excited about food, and you're like, I want one of everything.
Yes.
So you go ahead and get one of everything, and like I said, with the Pac-Man analogy, you get to it, right? Everything seems to go down okay. We had a great conversation. We go back to the hotel. First day of the show was at 1 p.m. Right?
Yep.
So we all get ready. And we start walking towards the show.
Well, we recorded an episode. We did record an episode.
Yep. That was great. That was
which is actually the one that comes before this one. So they'll know.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mateo made a point to say something, and I don't know how to facilitate it short of like a teleportation machine. Man, do you guys agree with this? When we're in the same room together recording an episode, doesn't it feel good?
Yeah, it feels great.
Oh,
I wish we could do it every time.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
To me, it's
so much fun.
It's life-changing.
I agree.
And I'm more in the zone. I'm more immediate. Like, even my English is less, I don't know, clunky, I feel.
Yeah, we don't have the delay to deal with. Yeah, your English is fine.
You're fine.
You're fine. The delay is...
Yeah, but here I'm more distracted. I'm less in the zone, That's what I meant.
I got you. I agree.
In the moment.
I get it. Now, every time we do that, I suggest that we have a 2-hour delay of fucking trying to set up video, trying to make buttons work and apps work or whatever, because that's what we were doing. By the way, who's the camera manufacturer, Sean? We gave them a hard time. Let's give them another hard time.
Logitech makes the Mevos now. So they're the Logitech Mevo.
Yeah. So Sean took all of 3 hours trying to get this thing going. And by the time we finally hit the go buttons on our, we ended up using the iPhone for the video footage. Mateo was like almost falling asleep because he had been patiently waiting, watching TikTok videos and whatever the hell else on his phone. We finally got it going. But, again, the energy came back once we went live because just being in each other's company, being live and in the same room was really, really cool. Great episode. You guys can watch. You probably end up watching it before you watch this one.
Yeah.
So we're all done. We pack up. We go to the show. We walk right by a great restaurant. What is it called? It was something.
Unconventional diner.
Unconventional diner.
Yeah. Great food. Great food. We want to call out as many of these people as we can if it helps them at all. At the very least, the people who listen to our episodes, if you are ever in the area, go visit these places that we give thumbs up to. You're not going to regret it. And so, we go get food. Mateo gets his regular vegetarian and I get something else. But we both recognize something weird. Mateo makes a point to say later, but I recognize it almost immediately, just didn't bring it up. I go, hey, Sean, you're not going to get anything? And he's like, no, I'm really not that hungry. Weird. And that was clue number one.
I felt fine, just not hungry. And I should have
which is weird to me. Keep in mind, this is the man just earlier in the day was just chomping down breakfast sandwiches, Like he's never even heard of breakfast sandwiches. Like they cracked him open in the ice, because he fell into the frigid, cold Arctic, whatever. And we cracked him open and he's never heard of breakfast sandwiches. So he's got to eat as much food as possible. When we were sitting in there at lunch, he didn't even bother What did he do? He might have eaten a piece of bread or something.
I had a piece of garlic naan, and I tried your curry, and I tried
Mateo, what do you
from our
did you
plates,
not see it? Like, did you think that was something was weird when he wasn't eating?
Oh yeah,
tell me what
immediately,
you saw.
because even when he says that he's not gonna eat, like he still ordered something. So it was the first time that I saw him not ordering anything at all. Maybe just the drink, or just drank the tap water.
No, I just had the tap water.
Yeah. So nothing.
I didn't even get a drink.
Yeah. So that was alarming weird. Already for me.
That was odd. Yeah. Mateo was already like
that in my.
Mateo was already calling, Sean's mom. Like your son is something's wrong with your son.
Yeah.
We were calling your wife, Steph, come and claim your husband because he's like really, really sick. Something's going on. I think he fell on his head the night before or something, So we both made a note of it, just kind of like, oh, whatever. Sean's finally showing, some self-restraint, which that should have been fucking clue number one. Something was going on. Show goes okay first days as okay as first days go. But somewhere towards the end, we go and get this coffee that was bitter as hell.
Oh my God.
Not ideal, but I thought and Sean goes, hey, I'm feeling a little like nauseous. How would you describe it, Sean?
No, I said, I feel like my stomach's in a knot.
Right.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah. And I thought it was just because
what I said to you was, I think we just drank battery acid, not coffee. Because it feels like it's eating away at my stomach.
That's right. Now in the moment, you pointed to the coffee as the culprit. Right. And so I thought, well, I drank the same coffee. I seem to be okay.
And what's weird is when we were walking away, when we were about to leave, I went to throw my coffee away. It was still pretty full. So I was like, how could that have made me feel so awful from just a few sips? I thought I was close to done with it, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, I thought my personal theory was you were working on a Spawn painting, I think it was. For a Whatnot episode that didn't end up happening because of internet connection issues.
Yeah.
I thought you were making yourself nauseous, by just like, this painting is not going well. I thought that was just your process. You know what I mean? You're the kind of guy that when things aren't going well, you just go take a nap, like this guy does not have his nap time available to him. Also because like on the other side, and I think you saw it, Mateo was working on a Batman sketch cover that was just like bonkers good, like high end. For a sketch cover, that guy got his money's worth.
So you thought Mateo's skill set made me nauseous when
I think
judging
both things. You were doing so horribly, and he was doing so amazingly.
I didn't feel I was doing so horribly, but maybe I was.
No, I mean, in the moment, I didn't want to make it worse, but yeah, it was awful, So you start showing the signs of like something, and then again towards the end you're like, I can't drink that coffee, it's battery acid. Okay, so we start walking back to the hotel, and I can tell when you've got a little pep in your step because there's poop in your butt. There's a way that you walk. You got like cock a butt. We get to the hotel, we get back, and we're kind of like winding down after the show is over, and I don't know the exact words that you said, but I knew it was serious when you shot to the bathroom from across the way in the hotel room, right into the bathroom, like it was a 100-meter dash. Like you heard the gun go off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Or if we want to stay in the Pac-Man analogy, like the ghosts are coming, and you're like, and the ghosts are just blue, 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 and they're just coming behind you, and you took off like a shot. Now here's the level of courtesy. I kept telling this to my wife, the level of courtesy that you went through in order to save me from the retching the sound effects from behind the door. I thought I've got to give you a lot of credit, because most of the time people just go to the toilet, put their face in it, and just vomit, right?
Yeah.
You took the time to turn on. I
gotta say, that's like especially weird, because we're talking about Sean, who's basically, he's a human being who cannot not make noises when he does anything. Like even eating. Yeah, for sure. He's all like,
That's a good point. I never thought about it like that.
Like Either like make like sometimes even when he sleeps makes noises, weird noises. So that's impressive.
I'm gonna record it next time. It's interesting that I never thought about that. He's self-conscious enough to turn on the faucet. But he's not he's like, you know what? You're going to listen to my overnight porno noises while I'm sleeping.
You enjoy my porno noises.
I do not.
I felt awful.
I was like, pull the blanket over my head and I go like, as long as I'm under the blanket, the monsters outside are not going to get me. Let me get through this. So Sean goes
Turns
to
out
the bathroom
monster
and
was
turns
inside Sean.
He came out.
Mateo is calling me, going like, the monster is in the room, you know. He gets to the toilet, or he gets to the bathroom, turns on all the water, and it was just strange to hear the water start running, and then I was happy, like the shower starts to run, you know. I hear him leave the room, knock on the door next door, and turns up their radio and their water. He's just very clearly self-aware that he's about to make some awful noises. So he goes and just yaks it up in there. I don't even want to know what came out of you, pal, but it was a level of awful that was, I didn't know how awful it was until a couple of days later, when you're like, oh my gosh, my ribs and my sides hurt because I was dry heaving so hard for like a day.
Yeah. So that first round was kind of like a quick one. Like, I got in there, yacked, flushed, like cleaned up, got out of there, and you were still in the room. Yeah. And I didn't feel much better after that. But then you went to dinner, and that's when it got out of hand.
Yeah.
It just got out of the hand.
I had every intention of not, let me say this. I had every intention of not going into dinner because you know my MO, right? I go like, yeah, I'll go to dinner with you. And when the time comes, I'm like, fuck you guys, I'm not going to dinner. I'm just going to hang out and eat Kit Kats, you know? But I just knew that you were not done. I was not convinced that you were done. And I was like, I'm going to go to dinner. And if you happen to vomit out your insides while I'm out, well, at least I'm not here, you know? Speaking of which, we went to a Mexican place. It was okay. But the best part about it was being able to hang out with the crew, you know? Great conversation. Yeah, Mateo made this face when he got like a blended margarita.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was my mistake.
He did this look.
What?
Yeah, because
I think it was more of an expectation.
They had a huge margarita list, and but it was the first part of the list was margarita on the rocks, and then they had another one which was something else margarita. And I saw something that interested me, and frozen, which I didn't know what it was. So I picked one from that list, and the waitress was like, "So just so you know, these are frozen." I was like, "All right." Like, I don't even know what that means. I mean, I know the word frozen, but I don't know it translated.
I should have been there.
Yeah, you see. So yeah, basically, it's how do you call that? Let me call it granita.
A slushy.
Slushy. Okay.
It's a slushy, yeah.
So I was really disappointed. So I finished it as soon as possible. That's who I am. I don't go like, okay, I don't like this one, so I put it on the side and order a new one. I finished it as soon as possible because I didn't like it. So I had to take it away from my eyes. Not even just, can you take this away? I'm going to finish it so it's not in front of me anymore.
The dumb shark. This is the dumb shark, yeah.
And I ordered like the right one. And that's it. That's my margarita experience. Now I know what I have to do the next time. Yeah.
Overall, I'd say it was the weakest of the dinners. We won't say the place because it's not really worth mentioning. But in as far as the food that we had, it was the weakest one, right? Yeah. So we're done. We get back to the hotel early enough, and Sean is just in bed, looking like a hot cup of death. You know, just like, and I'm like, are you all right? I didn't really care, but I felt like it was a human thing to say. Are you all right?
That's what humans do.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I gotta commend you. You've tried to do a lot of human things during that weekend that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It was weird.
And good luck with your path to becoming human, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I tried it.
Yeah,
I tried it for the weekend. It doesn't work. So I'm not just going to go back into not doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
you didn't enjoy yourself.
Okay, so I didn't like it. So yeah, get back to the hotel. Sean looks like he's having a horrible time. Just a horrible time.
It was
and
awful.
he wasn't done, right? I could just tell like he wasn't done yet. He was like, his body was just like, hey, get this out as quickly as possible. And sometimes actually it's the best thing to do is just to get that out of your system as opposed to like trying to find a way to not make yourself nauseated. There's a reason why you have that, vomiting gag reflex. So
yeah, but by this point I was empty. I was completely empty. Oh yeah. Yeah. It all came out when you were at dinner. And I cleaned up. Like, I was like, I don't want him to have to come back and smell this.
So now in that moment, you
this.
felt like how Eric feels all the time, empty inside.
Every day. Every day. Yeah, no, every day. And by the way, you cleaned up. Thank you very much. But that vomit smell was still in the air. So it was all I could do.
I didn't have anything. I didn't have any spray. I felt awful. I knew it would be there. I was flushing as it was coming out.
Yeah.
It's weird. Right. It just made me think about the fact that in Italy, when you have a bathroom with no windows, there's always a system in place, like a thing that basically sucks the air. At homes you have that. It's just hotels tend to not have that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, that lasted for a day, which is great. So here's the better part. The next day, we have a dinner, right? And Sean is still, at least in my head, I was like, he's probably not 100%. Clearly, he wasn't 100%, but he was nowhere near 100% in the way I saw it. Right?
The nausea was gone. The stomach.
No, that's not true. It was subsiding, right?
No, the next morning it was gone because I woke up like with hunger pangs, like bad, and so I ate. I went downstairs, got a piece of bread.
Yeah,
and then later that day we got a pizza.
Yeah,
I was eating a little bit. My stomach wasn't back to normal, but it wasn't nauseous anymore. I was wiped out though because I didn't sleep that night.
Yeah. Okay. So fair enough. And to give you, and to add a little bit more context to this, the night that we were at the Mexican restaurant, Mateo and I were saying, it's really unfortunate that Sean isn't here for one of our first meals with Raphael and company. Yeah. And they were like, why? Bad. And they're like, because you're missing out on one of the key components of having an after show meal. It's like going through, it's like getting in a roller coaster and not having a loop-de-loop. You know what I mean? You're like, it is a roller coaster, but there's no loop. You know, there's no like, wee, you know what I mean? Or like the big high one where there's like the whole, like that anticipation of clack, 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 and it drops you. If you don't have that, you only have like a really fast ride, you know? Yeah, so we were explaining to him all the stuff that you do. And so he's like, oh, really? Does he do all of that? I'm like, well, we're underrepresenting it for sure. You know? And so we're like, oh, that's too bad. Anyway, so the next day, he seems like he's feeling better. And hey, we have to go to this reservation to this steak restaurant. Sean, what's the name of the place?
Bourbon.
Oh, really good place. Yeah. By the way, we were spoiled in that downtown. Is that considered downtown Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Where we were was Georgetown, right? Is that, I don't know.
No, Georgetown. Georgetown was where the steakhouse was and the burger place.
The steakhouse or the burger place?
Both. Those are both in Georgetown.
All right, but the steakhouse is called Bourbon. Go there. I mean, it's pricey, but you're going to get your money's worth.
Real, yeah.
Really, really good steak. Mateo couldn't talk to you about it because he had a vegetarian dinner. So
I had a vegetable on
we
my
go,
ass.
and I'm not expecting at all for Sean to be at like the level of dinner performance. We just thought that this was just going to be like, okay, he's going to tone this shit down. He was in the bathroom yakking up his asshole. You know, and it came out. It basically like his butthole came out his mouth. He was throwing up so much. There's no way he's going to be Sean of old. You know, this is going to be half a show. This is not the click, click, click of the roller coaster. But
about my A game.
It just took a little bit.
Yep.
And the look that Mateo and I gave to each other. You know what I mean? It's like when Michael Jordan was sick for the Utah game. And you're like, damn, man, Mike is really sick, right? But when they call timeout, Mike is just like falling into Pippen's arms. You know what I mean? Like the flu-like symptoms. He's this close to like passing out. They're pumping him full of IV and Gatorade. And as soon as the timeout was over, he gets back on the court and drops like 50 or whatever it was. That was Sean that night. Yeah, me and Mateo were like, I don't know if he's going to make it, man. And then the waiter
by the way,
and said like,
talking about the Bulls. So, okay, so if Sean is MJ, am I Pippen? So you are Rodman.
No, I'm Luke Longley. I'm like
okay.
I'm Luke Longley, or like I'm Bill Wellington. You know,
no, Tony Kukoc.
I'll take Tony Kukoc. So anyway, so as soon as the guy comes and goes like, gentlemen, are you guys ready to order? Right. And before he even gets there, I can see Sean just scanning the menu. And that level of like, there should be that beginning of like, like the beginning part of like a game. I could see Sean ramping up. I can see him going like, these fuckers are dead tonight. You know what I mean? Like this place is in trouble tonight because Sean is getting ramped up, you know? Yeah. And so he starts talking to Mateo about what he should share, and it's the routine.
Yeah.
It's the routine of like, do you want to share this? Do you want this? Do you?
Yeah.
Do you want something
Mateo,
for the table?
You should look at wines. So you order wines. You're in charge of with wines. So I'll look into sides. Okay. Are you guys? Is everybody fine with this side and this side and this side? I'm thinking about making an order of this and that. What you gonna do? Would you want to do sides first and then the main, or you want to do all together? So you guys just let me know, and I'll arrange everything for everyone.
Yeah, it was like, if I get this, will you guys get some? Will you guys eat some? If I get this thing, can we share? It was that, and me and Mateo were like, it was short of like us high-fiving, going like, our friend is back, you know. But we weren't sure. We needed a few more like confirming things to happen before we can go like, he's okay, he's all right. And so the guy comes with the bread, and actually he comes out with a tray of fries as an appetizer.
Oh my God. A trilogy of French fries.
See, he's doing it now. You know what I mean? It's fucking days after the fact, and he's fucking doing it now. So the guy comes out with some fries and some dipping sauces, and it's all Sean could do, not just like dip and like baka 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 blue blue blue, like just eating the power, the power up in the corner of the map. And he's just shoving this stuff into his face. You know what I mean? It was great. And so food comes, we order, the food comes, and this is when I knew, he's all right. I don't have to worry about him anymore. And he just starts making porno noises at the table every time that he takes a bite. And the best part is, like, Mateo was keenly aware. It was I've seen the Sean show before.
I got caught though.
I've seen the Sean. Like, I don't give a shit. What Mateo wanted to do, and it was not slick by any means. I don't think Mateo could be like one of those kind of spies, Like, what Mateo wanted to do was, hey, guy, like, okay, what's the best way to describe? Okay, Mateo had seen this movie a bunch of times, right? And he knows when the best part of the movie is fucking coming. You know what I mean? Like, if this was Avengers Endgame, it's that part of the movie where Cap straps on the shield for the first time, and then he hears in his earpiece Falcon go like, "Hey, Cap, to your right." Mateo had seen this movie, so he knows when "to your right" is coming. Right? But he wanted Rafael and company to is it Eduardo? I don't want to keep calling him
Eduardo. Yeah.
Eduardo. Like, he wanted Rafael and Eduardo to know that it's happening right now. Right.
Well, especially because we talked about this kind of moment the night before with them. Yeah. So we warned them. So this is what Sean does, A, B, C, and D. So this was one of the main moments. And they were already amused by listening to me talking about that the night before. So I was like, guys, this is the time. Just your eyes. I literally went, because Sean was right next to me. So I was like,
yeah. It's that meme of DiCaprio going hey and pointing at the screen. And it was happening, and that's when I I don't remember what he was eating at the time. It must have been it wasn't the salad; it was something else. It started with the fries.
It was the appetizer. Yes,
with
the bread.
Fries.
It was that bread was so good.
Leading into it, because you guys had wine, right? It started like a roller coaster. It was like click, 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 and as soon as the bread came, hands up, everybody, we're fucking going down 20 stories. You know?
So I'm taking a bite, and I feel Mateo gesturing next to me, and I'm like, I know what he's doing. He's getting Raphael. So then I quiet down, but I'm in dumb shark mode. So I'm like, don't make the noises. You're just going to put on a show. But the next bite, those thoughts have now left my head, and I'm back to making the noises immediately. Yeah. But once the steak came, there was no holding back. Steak was so delicious.
Steak was great. Food was great.
So Raphael got the whole show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't recall if I've ever shared my video with Jamie, because I managed to frame one of those moments in Parma when he was trying the Annolini.
Yeah.
It wasn't his best, but it tells you about the attitude that he goes into food with. So if we didn't, I should share it with Jamie.
Yeah, share it with Jamie now. Yeah. Let's put it in.
For me, it was like
oh my God. Oh my God. Oh wow.
Let's put it in. In fact, that might be the good social media clip.
You should put that up. I remember you getting it at Parma. It wasn't the big version, but it was definitely a version. And it just imagine it 10x, 20x. It looks exactly like every meal is like that. And the thing is, the guy was just sick the night before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The cleansing.
Got it out of his system, had a bite of bread and some pizza, and freaking called okay, he's back, you know?
Yeah.
Dropping 50 on Utah Jazz.
Yeah. I did go on the lighter side for dinner in terms of the amount of food I ordered and what I ordered.
That was light?
Yeah, it was, because I wanted that bone marrow custard for an appetizer. That sounded insane, but I was like, oh, I can't do that. And the steak I got a small fillet, which was delicious, but typically I'd get a ribeye or something.
All right.
And I just got a salad, and then I had a little bit of each side to try it.
All right. Well, listen, I had plenty left over. I offered it to you, and you decided to decline. So
yeah. I didn't want to push.
Oh, by the way,
much,
Sean, when I came back home, I was talking to Francesca, and she told me that she knows about another couple of people that had the same thing. And by the way, my son had the same thing. Like, it was vomiting all night long, and the day after it was better. So I think, because here's one thing about you Americans, which it's something that I observed, and we don't have it in Italy.
Here we go.
Like, you use this thing, food poisoning, so often. So whenever you get sick, you're like, oh, it's probably food poisoning. Whenever you got something that usually involves your stomach or your intestines, you go food poisoning, which is not like in Italy. We don't have it. Like, we rarely have it. It has to be clear that it's something that you hate is not working with your body, but it has to be clear. Like, you either have to shit it out of your body immediately or vomit it immediately, so you can connect it exactly with that experience of eating that specific food. Otherwise, we don't say it's food poisoning. It's a very specific thing of United States. So maybe other countries, but I see it a lot in you guys.
I'm not ruling out, like, it could very well be the second time baby Aaliyah has struck me with an illness.
It doesn't have to be baby Aaliyah necessarily. Like, it can be a virus that is, is common right now amongst human beings,
Sure.
Because I didn't have it. So.
If that were true, if it were a virus, we'd been hanging out all weekend. Potentially, we could have gotten it too.
Someone else would have got it. But,
that was my only thing. In my head, I was like, if it was a virus that was going around, I'd feel effect. Maybe not to the point where Sean is like vomiting, but certainly I'd feel like.
The reason I thought it was food poisoning was because after breakfast, my appetite turned off.
Yeah.
And that was weird. And the amount of vomit I had that night was insane. And it was all undigested food, which had been all the way, I mean, that was like 12 hours earlier. So I felt like I ate it and my stomach was like, oh, no. And it took it all day to get it out. That's why I think it was food poisoning. But it could have been a virus, sure.
Okay, so here's my reflection after, coming home. I loved hanging out with you guys. And as a matter of fact, I love being able to tell these kinds of stories. But I think there's a way that we can do that without having to go to a show. The only complication there,
I agree,
is that we'd have to convince Mateo to come because obviously when he goes, it's a work trip, right?
Right.
Speaking of work trip, this fucking guy traveled in first class. I mean, I want to contrast how Mateo's kind of living right now versus how he started. First, when we first met, first San Diego that we ever got to, he knew all of 3 words, 5 words, maybe as many as 7, but definitely some of those words was, hello, my name is Mateo. That's as much of English as he possibly knew, right? He learned I'm lost, please help once he arrived in San Diego and literally got lost in San Diego. Like he was out in the middle of a fucking highway sleeping on a dirt road. He learned that later, but from his humble beginnings in that space to right now, and let me tell you what right now looks like. I'll describe it to you. He's the guy who decides he wants to fly in the lap of luxury, So he goes and gets a first class ticket using, I don't know if any of you have ever traveled in Delta One before, but go look up reference. Jamie, let's put up some pictures of what Delta One and the accommodations look like. Really, really nice.
We should put up the picture Mateo sent us.
No, that's the point I'm getting to. So Mateo gets he goes, hey, it's really nice. It's really, you get your own little cabin and a whole bit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. It looks really, really cool. So there's only certain flights that go from this side of the world to his that actually offer that plane. So he's getting a version of it that's pretty posh, and he sends us a picture. And I still haven't confirmed whether or not that this is the truth. He says it isn't, but he sends us a picture of what the cabin inside Delta One looks like. It's a lay flat. You get your own little space. For crying out loud, you could be completely naked in there if you wanted to. But he sends us a picture of the cabin, but he doesn't send us a picture of his cabin, which is easy enough to just take a step back and be click, look how cool this is. He walks over to another person's cabin, the other first class, probably the adjacent cabin next to his. And he puts his camera over that cabin and takes a picture of his sleeping lady in their cabin.
No, you're completely
And that's
wrong,
what he sends.
You asshole. It was an image taken from Google Images. I just digited Delta One cabin, and that was the first image that comes out. And to be honest with you, the plan originally was to take a picture of my cabin, but I didn't want to look like the guy who gets super excited about his first class trip.
He was being humble.
I didn't want to, I had people around, so I didn't want to be the guy who oh, I'm going to send the pictures to all my friends and show them that I'm in Delta One, So I decided not to take it. Plus,
he didn't want nobody to look was looking. Money. He didn't want to look like
yeah, exactly. But to be honest with you, I tried to take one in a sneaky way when nobody was looking, but it wasn't, it wasn't a nice picture. It wasn't giving you the real idea, the scope of how cool that thing was. So I decided to erase it immediately.
So it's really not about humility. You wanted us to see the full awesomeness of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It wasn't. Yeah.
My point is still the same. That when Mateo flies over here, typically it's for work. He's got to make it's got to be under the auspices, the under umbrella of work. And so the idea of like going out and just hanging out and like, you know, Sean getting sick again or whatever the fuck he does, right? Like having that experience independent of the show is going to be super challenging. Cause that's what I was thinking about when I was flying. I was like, I love hanging out with those guys. I love hanging out in the X amount of hours that we were able to. And it's unfortunate that we have to, or fortunate, depending on how you look at it. You know, it's unfortunate that we have to do it under the, you know, the schedule of a convention. I'm hoping we can find a way around
there's some way. There might be a way to do it. I mean, I'll have to talk to Francesca, but you know, like, I mean, Ilya is about to turn 3 now, so he's still a lot to deal with. But soon he won't be one. It will be more independent. So one thing that we could do is that it's still gonna be a trip attached to a show for me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I can do the show and then we can join together and do something else. So I can come to Portland, you know, after the show. So we can spend like, I don't know, 3-4 days together without having a show, you know, in there.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I was talking about the Francesca thing because still it would be, you know, 4 extra days of being away from the family. So it will be.
Or we could, you know, the opposite direction could be true as well. We can come to you, you know.
Or
Yeah.
yes, you can come. I mean, the Bologna show could be a nice occasion because the Bologna show is just 2 hours, 2 days, sorry, and it's 1 hour away from my town. So usually, what I do is I drive on Saturday morning, and then I stay there, and on Sunday evening I'm already home after the show. So it's not a big commitment in terms of time, you know, it's less than 2 days.
So where would we go if in Italy, if we did Bologna and then we wanted to just go get away together? Like where would you recommend we go, Matteo? Like get a house in the mountains,
we can go
get a house
wherever
on the
we
coast?
want. I mean, you know, Italy is really small.
I know.
So maybe we wouldn't go, I don't know, to the extreme south or, you know, something really far away.
Yeah.
So we can drive. But
right.
Yeah, there's a Tuscany nearby.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We could do.
There's Turin,
to Tuscany.
which is a nice place to go.
Sean just made this extra complicated. He wants to add the layer of experience to it. I just want to hang out. I'm going to leave that to you guys.
No, I want to hang out. I was just wondering where we'd go hang out. That's all.
That's literally.
Or
what I just
we can
said.
stay
That's
in
literally
Bologna, which is a really nice city. It's a beautiful
Really nice
city.
town.
There's a lot of things
nice.
to see there. So I always love being in Bologna. So we can just stay there and do the show and then go back to Parma.
The big victory for me is that you guys are up for it. You know, I think that's going to be for me. That's the cleansing part is being able to hang out with you guys and reconnect in person. This is a lot of fun.
Also, don't forget. I mean, if possible, if we can all pull off Thought Bubble, it'd be nice to get a couple days together after that show as well. Maybe in London or something.
Sure. Yeah.
To me, Tough Bubble is still tough because it's close to New York. So
okay.
I really have to think about it.
Okay. I got you.
Sean has his own. Okay, that's my story. That's my 41 minutes worth of like explaining what my personal experience with our Washington DC show. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about cons. It's a conversation Matteo and I were having on Sunday, and it's a conversation I've had with Jim a few times, and we talked to Chrissy Zulo and Chris Aminga about it. It feels like a lot of these bigger shows, they're becoming completely detached from comic books in that Artist Alley is, it's more of a fan-based art area. It's more like a flea market for arts and crafts and stuff. It's not what it used to be, and it feels like comic books have very little to do with what we're seeing. So I feel like OAX seemed like so refreshing because it was so comic book focused, but I think there's an opportunity for shows, small, very comic focused shows to start popping up. So What do you think, Eric? I'm curious to see your thoughts on this because you walk around Artist Alley. You've had to have seen the shift.
What? It's been a while now. No, I mean, I don't think you're saying anything new.
No, it's not new, but it's growing in that direction even more so. But it's also like for a little while, I was like, I wonder if this will come back, and now it seems like it's not necessarily coming back to those type of shows.
I'm lost as to what you're saying, that these shows are becoming less and less about comic books. You're
yeah,
talking obvious.
especially
It's like saying the rain is wet,
but the Artist Alley area is now very little to do with comic art in a lot of these bigger shows.
Yeah, so I think I don't know. I don't mind what it's transformed into, only because it's not. The moment you realize that it's not necessarily a comic book show, then Artist Alley is like a big, broad term, right? If you're an artist and you have stuff to sell, you can be in that alley. So it's not a comic book Artist Alley. You know, it's you know, I saw a ton of stuff in there that wasn't comic book related, and that's fine. It's like a lot of local people showing up, and this is the first time.
I'm not saying it's a negative. I'm just saying from our like sales are down from stuff like that, and it's just got me thinking it's got me thinking differently about the shows I will say yes to and how many.
And by the way, sorry to interrupt, but this conversation that you and I had, Sean, was basically triggered by the fact that we were noticing on Sunday, and especially slow day, like even though there's still people, you know, attendees, you couldn't tell they were a lot because the place is huge, the convention center in Washington.
Yeah,
but there were people, but I've rarely seen a show that slow on a Sunday. I mean, usually Sundays become really slow after lunch because people are starting to leave, but that was surprisingly slow as a Sunday. So that was just, you know, I was just wanted to add that info, and that's why we started talking about that.
Right, and also Chrissy and Chris had they had just done Emerald City, and were saying the same things about Emerald City that we had said the last time we did it. So it just got me thinking and about, you know, like, well, maybe I need to, like, are these shows worth doing?
Yeah.
Or like, do you get to talk to enough fans and people interested in what you're doing? Do you do sales? Like all these things.
And that's just, sorry to interrupt again, but that's one of the big differences. To be honest with you, of course, you know, I have to travel, I have to leave my family, travel overseas, spending a lot of hours just by traveling. So of course, if I could make a good amount of money, that'd be great. But aside from that, as long as I have a good con experience, meaning that I keep meeting people and I can see that there's people that are not familiar with my work that all of a sudden become familiar with my work, and maybe they even if they even if they don't buy anything, you know, but they just take their time to just talk to me for a second and ask me, oh, so what do you do? Oh, okay, I should check that book, and I should, from now on, I'll start following you, you know, and stuff like that, just simple stuff like that. So as long as I have at least meaningful interactions during the weekend, I'm fine with it. But what I saw was just zero interest in even just stop by and see what I was doing. I was still, you know, doing some sketches and stuff. They wouldn't even stop, you know. It was totally, you know, it was a weird feeling.
Mateo, you've been to more than, like, I'm so out of it that as far as like the convention circuit is concerned, I pointed to your banner and was like, yo, that's a nice new banner you got. You gave me this look like new banner. Get out of here. This thing's been like, that's how long it's been since I've gone to a show with you guys that I didn't even know what your now old banner looks like. It's new to me, you know, but give me your perspective on whether or not this is a trend that you've recognized, or if this is something that just happened for this particular show for whatever reason. Do you see it as a trend?
I see it as a shift.
I don't know about the trend because I have been doing 2 little shows in the States, and normally like one of them is always New York Comic Con, which is always really a really busy one. And so I can't say, but from what I've heard, for example, like Seattle is one of those shows that was really artistic centric, and now it has shifted. From what they told me, because it had just happened like the weekend before Washington D.C. And they told me that there's a very small number of professionals having a table at the artist alley, which is uncommon because normally in Seattle every artist would be there. Yeah, it used to be that way. Yeah, so I don't know. I just probably Sean. Sean does more shows, so he's probably have a better idea of what's going on.
What do you think, Sean?
I think especially when it comes to the more corporate shows, the Fan Expo and the Read shows, New York aside, New York's kind of its own animal. I definitely see a big shift. Like the past few Fan Expo shows I've done, I've really felt that. And other shows like this show, which what would you say? This was a medium-sized show, Awesome Con?
I don't know. I don't have a point of reference anymore.
I'd say it was medium. It's not small.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not a small space. I don't know if I'd call it large, but yeah, like it's a decent medium-sized show, and it felt like the same as like what Emerald City felt like last time we did that. Then you go to like an OAX or you go to Heroes Con, and it's refreshing because it reminds you of like what shows used to feel like. And I think the fact that I'm feeling more and more of a difference when I do shows like that is making the point that, yeah, this is a shift I see.
I'd never thought about it. Yeah, it's such a weird headspace to be in that I went not because of the show, but because I wanted to come and hang out with you guys. So I'm not even tracking the kinds of things that you guys are paying attention to, but it's well worth, for me, it was convenient only because I rarely sit behind my table. I always go out into Artist Alley and try to find new people, and try to find new books. Yeah. Which I found, I'll bring it to the next recording that we do. But I found this young lady sitting in the Artist Alley who did a comic book based on her thesis, and it was fucking amazing.
Oh, wow.
This person, she drew like a beast, and the story was super charming. The ideas behind it, they like supported it, and then the drawings was really the capper. So I'll bring it back. I still have not unpacked since I got home, but it's in my suitcase now. I'll bring it back to the next recording. Yeah. But point is, that's the thing that I do when I go to these shows now, is just go through Artist Alley. What I did recognize was, short of our little section, which, I'm kind of used to you guys and the people who are adjacent to us and the other tables who I'm also used to, I didn't see too much like, here are the pros of this local area. Does that make sense? Or like, here are some other pros that flew out from elsewhere and set up at the convention with us. And I don't know what that is. I'm always like, I'm seeing an influx of, the past, again, this, it's nothing recent, but let's say the past 10 years, I'm seeing an influx of a lot of like art conglomerates, art dealer. What would you call it? Like Essential Sequential is just like this banner that we all fall under. Yeah. Right. I'm seeing that a lot in shows. Right.
Yeah.
And here's some, what do you call it? Here's some, inside baseball. Sometimes these art dealers have a big name like Mateo, right? Like they have, Jason will go and say a convention or an event coordinator will say, hey, we want Mateo because Mr. Freeze is out, or a book that's like super popular is out. Cool. We'll bring Mateo out. He's going to get like a fee and he's going to be paid for and blah, blah, blah. But also you have to bring X amount of our people out. Right. So I love riding Mateo's coattails. Like they would invite me to go to a fucking show, right? Unless Mateo's going. Then they go like, okay, but if you go, then you kind of have to invite Eric too, you know?
Yeah, I like being in that position.
That's typical for a show, by the way. That's not like any
for each show, I have two minority quotes. So in this case, it was the Jew and the Filipino quotes.
Because the Italian is the majority, you know. Anyway, so it's again, that may be inside baseball, but it's not anything new. That's how typically that's how it happens. But it does have a tendency to balloon these budgets for these coordinators. You know what I mean? Sure. They only have so much money to spend. They have a tendency to like not just pay for Mateo, but potentially like assholes like me to go in with him because it's a package deal, right? And you multiply that by X amount of dealers, then suddenly it's rare that if you're not part of that group, you're going to be lumped in, you know, within the context of that budget. So I'm always curious to know, like, you know, are we sucking the air out of the room for these budgets for the for the event coordinators? You know what I mean? That's an interesting thing to think of. And that's why we're seeing fewer and fewer sort of like pros that are being invited just independent of independent of representation.
Right.
That could be an interesting to investigate. Yeah. I don't know.
I'll look into it never because I only care about it for the context of this conversation, and then I'll get over it. You know, because fuck it, man. Why wouldn't I ride Mateo's coattails? Similar to, and I missed him the entire weekend, and it was a weird sort of emotional, nostalgic space that I got into. Somebody, I can't remember how I told you the story to you, Sean, but Jeff Loeb.
I remember how you told the story. Jeff Loeb was there. He's part of Essential Sequential, and he had a huge, massive line.
He's great.
And you
love
told
seeing
me,
Jeff, by the way. Sean doesn't like Jeff, by the way. For the record, Sean hates Jeff Loeb. Just like the way he spells his name.
The things that he says about him when he's not around. Holy fucking shit.
It weirds Sean out to have those combination of letters for his last name, and that's the least of Sean's problems with Jeff Loeb. You know what I mean? So anyway, like somebody came to the table. Go ahead, Sean. You know, you remember the story.
Well, yeah, and you overheard because next to Jeff's banner, Jason always sets up an area to sell Tim Sale's prints and Tim Sale's books. And since he worked with Jeff Loeb all the time, it makes sense to have it next to Jeff. So someone looked up and saw the Tim Sale setup and said, "Oh, look, Tim Sale's here too."
Yeah. Yeah, that was fucking sobering to think of like, oh yeah, it's, you know, is it so much so that I had to look out like how, you know, Tim hasn't been gone that long, but it feels like forever since the last time I seen him because he had been dealing with health issues for quite a long time. So that made this situation a little bit more melancholic with me. And I think that's one of the main, if the driving reason for me to be like, I need to engage being human because who knows, right? So the first night I was like, I'm not really feeling going out. I'm like, shut the fuck up. There's a reason why I came out there, and it's not because I wanted to stay in the hotel room drinking Gatorade and like eating Kit Kats. It's because I came out here for these guys. So it was one of the driving reasons for me to be like, I need to not be such a curmudgeon. But that, like, you know, those are the situations which I go like, I've been doing this for a little while now, and I don't think I'm enjoying this as much for the same reasons, by the way, but for the same reasons that I used to, which is like the thrill of being at a convention. I hope we can get him on here because I want to be able to pick his brain about it. I had a similar conversation with another legend that sits with us. Actually, it's the other way around. We sit with him.
Yeah.
Klaus Jansen.
We're going to get him on. We're going to get him on.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up Klaus.
Yeah, let's get Klaus on here because I hope that we can. What does it take for Klaus to sort of like be less guarded about his like, you know, conversation? Do we need to get him drunk?
No, when Klaus is on my show, he's been pretty open.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Let's do
funny,
that because
like, on Saturday, I was walking by the tables and he was there, so it was just like, hey Klaus, how you doing? I was like, oh well. I was yesterday. Terrible. just like that.
I knew the minute Klaus hurt. I was in the hotel on Saturday just recuperating, and I was like, I knew we had that dinner. I was like, I want to make it to that dinner so bad. I was like, the minute Klaus hears I was sick, he's gonna back out so fast.
Yeah.
He is like any sign of a contagion anywhere, Klaus goes the other direction immediately.
I totally understand. And if he got what you got, I don't know if he survived.
I wouldn't wish what I got on any of us, but I was just, I knew, I was like, Klaus isn't going to go. Yeah. I knew you animals would go.
I barely went.
Yeah.
But then it was a choice between staying at the hotel with you yakking up your asshole or like hanging out with these guys in whatever situation that we were in. Another thing I want to help highlight, and this may get dour, so this is more on brand for Sean than me, but it's definitely the reflective component. I can't say enough how much gratefulness that I have that we're talking about Jeff Loeb, we're talking about Tim Salem, we're talking about Klaus Janson, as if they're just dudes that we end up getting sick with, you know?
Right.
It's I'm standing behind Art Adams, draw whatever commission that he was drawing, right? And he's just talking to me as if, hey, dude, we've been doing this for like freaking forever. He's like, oh, this is not typically the posture that I did, because they were doing a live whatnot thing. Jason Shatter was
I think that was just like me. He had his Filipino quote, so he has to speak to at least one minority per day.
Yeah.
Regulation.
And then he checks it off, and that's how they give him his fee. Yeah,
that's he has an Asian wife as well, but it needs another Asian.
Not married to.
Yeah.
Not married to the
one that he doesn't have to be compelled to hang. But my point is, you know, we get to hang out with a lot of cool people as far as like legend level. I remember that with Art Adams, and just kind of like, hey, chit-chatting with him like it's nothing. Klaus is just some guy, you know, it's Klaus Janson, for crying out loud. You know, that guy's a freaking pillar of our industry. And I'm just talking to him about whatever it is that comes in. I was talking to him about how young he looks and how many, like, you know, virgins he had to sacrifice in order to like keep restoring his youth month in and month out. You know, that's the common conversation. Like, these guys are the people who you look to if you were to look at like the staples of comic book industry. Art Adams, Klaus Janson, Jeff Loeb. Those guys are like the legends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At one point, go ahead.
No, at one point we were talking to Wonho, you know, of Black Side. Right. Like, Wonho is just a guy that wants to go have dinner somewhere and grab a bite to eat and talk about family or whatever it is, just get caught up, you know. You don't realize that these guys are like top tier. Eventually, I don't know. Here's the part that, like, are there young kids getting rolled, graduating, quote unquote, graduating into Essential Sequential? Yeah, doesn't that fucking scare you? Right?
Well,
because Mateo he's youngish now and young compared to us, but he's gonna start getting old quick, because that's how it happens for white people. You know, it's slow at first and then it's all at once, all at the fucking same time. You know?
Yep.
Mateo is youthful and he's dropped weight. By the way, buddy, you look so fucking good. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I know that takes such a lot of hard work, and I've seen you eat, dude, and I know that takes a lot out of you to be like, that guy's really pacing himself. You know?
Well, yeah, the difference is now, even if I do, like, I don't know, I have a couple of nights with you guys where I eat a lot.
Yep.
Back then, I would, in my head, I would have been, the next day I was like, fuck, I'm a fucking asshole. And I would just give up on every kind of plan. I was just like, you know what, I fucked it. So I fucked it up. So fuck it. Yep. And then from then on, it's just going downhill for me. Instead, now I'm like, okay, I've exaggerated 2 nights in a row. So next week, I'm going to make up for it, you know, and everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
I have more equilibrium in my life, I would say.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of new young people, I mean, Raphael is my age, more or less. So, and he's a new team member. So,
but here's
he's
the thing:
not a new,
the age gap. generation gap by way of work that's relevant in the industry to the person that sort of like has had a few more notches on their belt. I remember when we brought Tim on and we started bringing everybody on, there was a great divide. We treat each other like equals, but definitely some people were at the middle part of their journey, later on in their journey. And there's a bunch of people that are coming up like you and me, right? I don't see that new generation coming in. And I don't know if that speaks to what you guys were talking about, where it's like, hey, there's very little comic book content at these shows anymore. Are there like those people that are like in a younger age range, like you, Maddie, when you first came in,
Yeah.
And started
there's also a difference. Like back then, like I'm on Essential Sequential now because you put in a good word for me to Jason. All right. We kind of started knowing one each other, and you told Jason, hey, listen, I think you should have this guy as a client. But back then, there were way fewer art dealers around.
That's true.
For sure.
And now, I mean, I could see, people that are really more than promising. You can tell they're already starting to work and are great. But, by the time I kind of discovered them, they're already, with some agent,
Yeah.
And because, and also maybe they know, an older artist who's already with an agent. So they just go with that, So, I mean, there's been in this last, 10 years, there's been people that I saw that I really like, and I think they will be great, in our group, but they're already taken. So I'm not going to be the guy like, hey, you should leave this dealer and come with us. I don't think it's, a good thing.
It just goes to show, and maybe there's a conversation for a later date. It just goes to show that maybe there are artists out there, because we discovered them way after the fact and they're already sort of like with somebody. There is talent out there that's outside of our sort of like peripheral, and we should be that much more like active in expanding that peripheral so that we go find them, not for the benefit of Jason, but just for the sake of like getting to know them sooner, I think there's some serious value to that. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I love walking through Artist Alley, because I go I've never seen that guy's work before.
I'm helping a few, go ahead, Matteo.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a couple of young, really talented guys that just need a little guidance with like getting their career off the grounds, and I'm helping a couple of them, and they're great artists. But the reason I haven't like put them in front of Jason is these guys are working exclusively digitally, and I don't know that fits Jason's business model.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I can't tell you how much it pisses Jason off that I work digitally almost exclusively now.
Yeah, but you still do a lot of hand-drawn imagery to sell. I mean, you still have portfolios of stuff you're producing. Like these guys, like even their sketchbooks are on the iPad.
Sure.
So it's
also another thing that I'm not concerned about. I don't have the term right now in my head, but it would be like back then when you helped me with Jason, it was just a bunch of us in Jason's team. Now Jason has a lot of clients, like a lot. So I fear that in case tomorrow I see a spot, a new talent, which I think, should be in our group. On one hand, I would be excited to kind of even, help them out. But on the other hand, I would be scared of maybe I'm not helping them out by telling them to come to our group.
Yeah.
Because let's say so, I would really have to know them as a person and see that they have what it takes to be in that big of a group. Because some people,
that's true,
and when they're in front of this kind of giant that the group has become, they tend to disappear. And there's other people who have the natural instinct to emerge, even in big groups, even when, the other people are more famous and talented, they don't give a shit and I keep going straight forward. So it would really depend on the person that I have in front of me. But
yeah, that's a good point.
But
no, it's valid.
I think it's an experience that I would try and give to another person, especially because mine was so magical. Again, as you were saying, I got to meet really early in my career. I got to meet monsters like Tim and Klaus and Dave Johnson. That normally maybe now they would know my stuff anyway, but it gave me this kind of fast track to getting them to know me earlier,
Yeah, true. Very true. All right, I think we're over by 8 minutes, and that's long enough.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm going to hit the stop button.
Mateo, sign us out. Mateo, sign us out.
Hey guys, my new sketchbook, Dumb Shark, is finally out.
That's great, Fratello. Congrats. Eric, what do you think?
Wow, Mateo. This book has really changed how I think about art. The style, the details, the inking techniques, not to mention the colors. Everything on this book is off the chart. You are so far ahead of any other artist, especially me. I know I always say I don't like your Mr. Freeze book, but that's actually a lie. I was just jealous of your incredible talent because I love everything you do, and sadly, I know, deep in my heart, that I'll never be at your extraordinary level. You truly are the best artist on planet Earth. This book is a game changer, man. I think everyone out there should go and order Mateo's new art book, Dumb Shark, before it sells out.
Gee willikers, Eric. That was an incredible endorsement. You really made me want to buy it. How can I get my hands on it?
You can find it on www.essentialsequential.com, or if you're in Europe, you can order it on www.pulps.fr.
Wow, Eric. I didn't know you were such a big fan of mine. Thank you. I really don't need to add anything else. You said it all.
What an asshole.
Wait, what?
What's in the case?
Take it easy, brother.
What's in the goddamn case? Open that shit up. Hurry up.
This is not a case. It's a Floyd.
It's beautiful.
I know.
Can I touch it?
Oh.